Hello guys, welcome back. In this video we'll be learning about characteristics in persuasion. Now the characteristics in persuasion can be of three types. It can either be source characteristics, it can either be message characteristics, or it can be receiver characteristics. In this video we'll be learning about source characteristics, right? Now the first thing is either the source can be a credible oriented source, he can be an attractive. The source characteristics could be attractive, or the source characteristics can be power. That is, with his credible character, he is persuading. With his attractive character, he is persuading the receiver, or with his powerful character, he is persuading the person. The thing is, now, which is better and which is not, we'll be discussing the same here. Before that, let me define what are these. First, let's start with power. Now, it's the ability of the source to influence the target group. Now, power depends on one thing, on the dependency of target group on source for fulfillment of its needs. Okay. Example, if there is a person who gives money, there is a money lender, and every villager depends upon the money lender. Now, if the money lender will say something, since he has the power, since he has influence over the villagers, whatever he says, the villagers has to accept. They have to accept it. Okay, so lots of counter-attitudinal messages of the powerful sources are more likely to be accepted by the target group. But is it viable? Will there be an attitudinal change, behavior change? We'll see very shortly, but before that, let's discuss what are the other two characters. Attractiveness is the degree to which the source is perceived as likable by the target group. Okay? Now, the factors determining the likability of the source is the value and the attitude compatibility, communicative versatility, physical makeup, and physical proximity. For example, if your father says not to take a particular subject in the school, and this is because he is more and more, you like that father, so out of sheer respect, even though you don't like the subject, since you respect your father, you take that subject. Okay, and eventually you started liking that subject. So that is the attractiveness character of the persuader. And finally is the credibility. Now, degree to which the target group members believe on position advocated by the source. Okay. Now this depends on the two things. Credibility either can be on the level of expertness, or it can be due to the trustworthiness. Expertness, when the target group is convinced that the source is well informed about the topic under discussion. Trustworthiness is measured by finding out whether the source has a vested interest in persuading the persuadee. Right? So now, if we have to choose a person, if there are two people, one is very expert and other is trustworthy, definitely we'll choose a person who is more trustworthy, right? Because the persuadee, the person who is being persuaded, he'll have a greater attention to what that person is saying. He will raise less doubts, and he will also expose all his apprehensions. Okay, all the message characteristics, he'll expose that, right? Now let's see what are some of which characteristics is better and why. So here you see source characteristics, credibility, attractiveness, power, and here you see the mechanism underlying the attitudinal changes, and here is the outcome. Now, if the credibility is the source characteristics used for persuasion, this will lead to internalization. It can bring about the attitudinal changes by internalization. No love is required here. Okay, no vigilance is required here. The level is so high that in some countries where government is seen as a credible source, not as a power source of persuasion, people also undergo character building as a form of nation buildings, right? The second is the attractiveness as a persuasive character of the source. Here the mechanism underlying is identification by which the receiver is persuaded. Here the target group can accept because of the liking for the source, right? It is more autonomous than power outcome, right? For example, as I've told earlier, respect quotient example for father is high, and that you accepted. You didn't like earlier, but eventually you realized its benefit. Okay, now this is known as introjection. If I can't beat you, I'll join you. Okay, introjection. It requires self-vigilance from the source side and love and affection also. Okay. The third is the power. Now the mechanism underlying the attitudinal change is compliance. Now the outward acceptance is seen of counter attitudinal messages, but the internal rejection of the same is there. There is change in behavior, but there is no change in attitude. Okay. For a healthy government, the government should move from power as a source character to credibility as a source characteristics, and here self-vigilance is required. All right. So we discussed 3 characteristics in persuasion: credibility, attractiveness, and power. Thank you.